Hey everyone, let's jump right in. Welcome to today's Explainer. We're looking at some seriously powerful source material today, stuff that gets right to the core of how to master our own psychology and build truly life-changing habits. It's all about putting you back in the driver's seat. A lot of the time, we look outside for the things holding us back, but today, we're flipping the script. We're turning that lens inward to look at the nuts and bolts of our own thoughts.
Think about this for a second. Who is your biggest enemy? Automatically, your brain probably jumps to external stuff, right? A terrible boss, a rough market, a competitor, or maybe just plain bad luck. But I'm going to challenge that assumption right out of the gate. The absolute biggest threat isn't out there in the real world. It's actually sitting directly inside your own head. It's that exact same voice that whispers, we'll start tomorrow, or tells you you aren't good enough the second you face a setback. That is your invisible enemy.
To conquer this internal enemy, we're going to follow a clear roadmap based on the source material, covering 6 fundamental laws. We'll hit 1. The invisible internal enemy. 2. The law of awareness. 3. Mastering emotional control. 4. Discipline over motivation. 5. The power of detachment. And finally, 6. The path to mastery.
Starting off with Section 1, the invisible internal enemy, how your mind actually works against you.
So how exactly does this happen? Well, your mind subtly strips away your control by making comfortable, easy decisions look incredibly attractive in the short term, which slowly pulls you off your path. But we do have a defense mechanism. The source material highlights the profound realization of Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist who survived Nazi concentration camps. Surrounded by unimaginable suffering and a total lack of physical freedom, he realized something incredible. No guard, no matter how brutal, could take away his ability to choose his internal response to his circumstances. He proved that ultimate freedom lives right in that tiny little space between what happens to you and how you choose to react to it.
So what does it actually look like in our daily lives when we lose that space? It's the stuff we all do. It's hitting snooze for just 5 more minutes. It's firing off that impulsive, angry message you regret for the next week. Or if you're an investor, taking revenge trades just to claw back a loss. It's endless scrolling instead of doing the work, or letting one small failure convince you that you're totally useless. Notice a pattern here? In all these totally relatable moments, our uncontrolled mind basically hijacks the steering wheel. It takes our temporary emotions and sells them to us as permanent facts.
Moving on to Section 2, the law of awareness, or as I like to think of it, turning on the light in a dark room.
The source material brings in the famous research of psychologist Daniel Kahneman here, which shows just how insanely fast our minds jump to conclusions without us even realizing it. You get a text, and before you've even read it properly, you've decided the person is furious with you. That is the uncontrolled mind at work. Let's apply this to a failure or rejection. The unaware mind instantly attaches your identity to it, saying, I failed this attempt, so I am completely useless and incapable. But the aware mind, it takes a step back and says, okay, I got rejected this time, but it's just feedback, not my identity. Notice how the external event is literally identical, but that internal interpretation changes absolutely everything about how you feel and what you do next.
Now, I want to be super clear here, because people often confuse awareness with overthinking. It's not about obsessively analyzing every single random thought that pops into your head. It is literally just turning on the light to see what's already there. Think about it. If you walk into a pitch-black room and flip the switch, you didn't create the furniture in there. You just made it visible so you don't stub your toe. Awareness lets you observe a thought, like, man, I want to quit right now. So it doesn't instantly become an absolute command that you have to follow.
Let's hit Section 3, Mastering Emotional Control. This is what happens when emotion tries to be the decision maker.
Once you start shining a light on your thoughts, you're inevitably going to bump into some pretty intense feelings. And the huge trap here is letting those raw feelings act as the CEO, especially in high-stakes moments. To beat this, elite performers and professional athletes use a super specific 3-step framework. 1. Observe the rising emotion. 2. Take a deliberate pause. And 3. Consciously choose your action. Imagine a pro basketball player at the free throw line, clock ticking down. If they let that raw, skyrocketing anxiety shoot the ball, they're gonna miss. They absolutely have to observe the pressure, take that literal deep breath to pause, and then flawlessly execute their conscious choice.
The absolute most crucial takeaway here is that emotion is a signal, not a final instruction. Feeling angry or scared? That's just a completely natural biological alarm bell designed to make you pay attention. Feeling angry isn't bad. The mistake is blindly acting on it. Anger tells you a boundary just got crossed. It definitely does not instruct you to scream and burn down a relationship.
All right, Section 4, discipline over motivation, acting when the motivation fades.
So you've got a handle on your emotions in the heat of the moment, right? But then comes the hard part, the daily grind. The source material shares the story of Harlan Sanders, the KFC founder. The guy faced aging, endless failed jobs, and just massive business rejections. He didn't finally succeed because he was magically waking up pumped and motivated every single day. He made it because he pushed right past the 1,000 excuses his brain was feeding him to give up. You see, motivation is fleeting. It's doing what's necessary only when you feel inspired and energized. Discipline, on the other hand, is doing what's necessary especially when your mind is screaming at you to stay in dead. Highly successful people don't rely on extraordinary motivation. They build systems and routines so they don't have to negotiate with their own brain every single morning.
Honestly, the holy grail of discipline is a simple linguistic shift. You've got to stop saying, "Ugh, I need to read today," which is a grueling choice that just burns through your willpower. Instead, you say, "I am a person who reads every day." The behavior transforms from an exhausting chore into an undeniable part of your core identity. Your mind literally stops fighting you because it just accepts, okay, this is who we are now.
Moving to Section 5, the power of detachment, pursuing the goal while freeing the mind.
Let's dig into this psychological paradox because it is absolutely fascinating. How do you go after greatness, wealth, or your biggest goals with literally everything you have without letting the pressure totally destroy your peace of mind? We need to bust a major myth right now. True detachment does not mean you don't care. Not at all. It means pursuing a goal with 100% effort and honesty without attaching your mental peace and self-worth to the final result. Elite athletes and top-tier investors use this constantly. Because if they tie their entire identity to winning just one game or one trade, the fear of losing gets so massive that they end up choking under pressure.
So it really boils down to knowing the difference. What is actually in our control? Our preparation, our daily effort, and our conscious decisions. And what is completely out of our control? Market conditions, what other people think, and random external circumstances. Whenever you attach your ego and happiness to the stuff on the right side of this table, the uncontrollable stuff, you are just manufacturing anxiety for yourself. Detachment simply means pouring all your energy into the left side of the table and accepting whatever happens on the right. Okay, our final section, number 6, the path to mastery, putting the conscious mind back in the steering wheel.
We've covered awareness, emotional control, discipline, and detachment. But how do we put the conscious mind permanently back in charge? Well, consider the number 8. In the 2008 Olympics, swimmer Michael Phelps won 8 gold medals. But listen, that wasn't just physical dominance. That was absolute mental mastery. During one of his finals, his goggles literally filled with water, completely blinding him. An uncontrolled mind would have totally panicked. But Phelps had visualized and mentally prepared for exactly this worst-case scenario. He used his discipline and emotional control to flawlessly count his strokes in the pitch dark, and he still won gold. See, mastery doesn't mean fear magically disappears. It means executing perfectly even when fear is staring you right in the face. True masters understand that raw willpower has an expiration date. If you're fighting temptation all day long, eventually you're going to lose. Willpower fails, but intelligent systems succeed. True mastery is actually designing your environment to eliminate the battle entirely. If you want to stop doom scrolling at night, don't rely on your willpower. Just put your phone in another room. Don't try to train your mind by fighting it 24/7. Set up systems where doing the right thing is literally the easiest option available. As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a deeply provocative question straight from the source material. The next time you feel the urge to snap in anger, to hit snooze, or to just quit when things get rough, take that pause and ask yourself, are you fulfilling your mind's immediate desire or your future's need? Answering that question honestly is how you build those life-changing habits and truly master the invisible enemy. Thank you so much for learning with me today, and I really hope this helps you completely take back control of your very next big decision.